Hello, my name is Lorenzo Gatuslao, and I will be explaining the historical aspect of air pollution. So it all started in the late 1940s, located in the town of Donora, Pennsylvania. Many people had lived near there and worked in many of the steel mills and melting plants. And according to History.com, many of these factories had released an excessive amount of pollutants like sulfuric acid, carbon monoxide, which inhaling replaces the oxygen in your red blood cells with carbon monoxide, and all the other different types of pollutants that made it unclear for many people to breathe in. Just in the 1920s, before a lot of regulations towards air pollution, many companies tended to pay off local residents for the amount of pollution caused by their power plants and factories. This allowed many companies to fully produce their products and services and ended up paying a small fee towards the surrounding areas that they polluted. But these fees paid towards these people were just not enough. Overall, pollution and air control were just not bearable for people to breathe in. As a result, one of the head doctors, William Rongus, that was a part of the local head for the health department, realized that people with pre-existing respiratory problems should not be living in Donora due to the immense amount of pollution in the air. Even though pollution and bad air quality had killed 11 people already, according to History.com, the heavy smog forced a lot of people to move out, no regulation at the time, and no control for many of these companies producing pollutants. Thus, the Air Pollution Control Act of 1955 was created. But this was only to create funds and research for many of the pollutants found and that we know about today. It didn't start until 1967, where they started to control and monitor many of the companies' and factories' pollutants. Without buying their surrounding areas, they had to start finding better and more efficient ways of creating their products with the thought of what they were putting into the air. Then finally, Richard Nixon had finally enacted the Clean Air Act of 1970. The result in the government's role in controlling the pollutants produced by big and small named companies. The legislation made regulations on the emissions not just through factories, but also from cars, putting a choke on car companies to make more efficient and environmentally friendly vehicles. Ultimately, as you can see in the graph, the difference in metric tons of pollution from the rise in 1960, as you can see in between 1960 to 1970, it jumps from 150 metric tons to 250 metric tons. And the drop in 1980, as you can see in between 1980 to 1990, it severely drops from 250 metric tons to around 50 metric tons, resulting in a much cleaner environment in 1990. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Kiana Tebyani and I will be explaining the causes of air pollution. You might not realize it, but in your day-to-day life, you contribute every day to worsening air pollution, whether you mean to or not. Anywhere from your car to your furnace at home, we all can do things a little differently because there are causes everywhere that increase the pollution in the air. Air pollution is caused by solid and liquid particles and certain gases that are suspended in the air. These particles and gases can come from car and truck exhausts, factories, and even something as small as dust, pollen, and mold spores, going into wider, bigger problems like volcanoes and wildfires, which we can't really control. The solid and liquid particles suspended in our air are called aerosols. Much of the air pollution comes from the use and production of energy. Burning fossil fuels releases pollutants and chemicals into the air. Air pollution increases the Earth's temperature in the form of carbon dioxide, or if you know your chemistry, CO2, and methane. The increased heat then worsens another form of air pollution, which is smog, which forms when the weather is warmer and there is more ultraviolet radiation, which is extremely dangerous if I might add. Climate change also increases the production of allergenic air pollutants, including mold, which I just had in my last apartment and I got extremely sick. And when I mean extremely sick, I was hospitalized because the conditions of the air was really, really, really bad. And I got mold poisoning because of it. And that's because of the moist conditions that were caused by such severe weather and increased flooding in my walls made me sick. This is just an example I wanted to add so you could see that it doesn't just happen outside, but it can also affect the inside. Another addition is pollen, which is due to a longer pollen season and more pollen production, which you can't really change. It's how the weather is. On the next slide, we have 2 example pictures that I added. One was explaining how a vehicle can cause a higher rate of air pollution, and the other one explains a little bit more of what I went into and shows you how different areas can cause an increased danger in the air and cause different particles to enter our atmosphere. The last slide is a few major causes, things that you could kind of understand and see in your everyday life. One of them is smoking. Smoking is a huge danger when it comes to air pollution. Another one is deforestation. Some household and farming chemicals, which is literally anything as simple as your Windex under your sink. Vehicle emission source, which is why Tesla, for example, created what they did, and it's becoming a way more efficient of getting from point A to point B without causing such dangerous air pollution problems. The next one is the industry. Industrial areas are a huge danger to air pollution. They're a major contribution. And a few of the pictures kind of go into more depth to show you what exactly can happen when our air is polluted. Thank you so much. Now it's going to go into the effects of air pollution.
Hi, my name is Angel, and I will be discussing the effects of air pollution and how it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic. As you know by now, air pollution is harmful for our environment. Consequently, long-term exposure is also poisonous for humans, which can affect our physiological and psychological well-being. Short-term exposure affects the pulmonary system, causing illnesses such as bronchitis and pneumonia. Acute side effects also include headaches, dizziness, and nausea. If exposure to pollution is long-term, the effects are much more severe, causing chronic diseases that affect our respiratory system, cardiovascular system, causes damages to nerves and brain function, as well as other organs in the body. It is important to know that everyone can be affected by pollutants differently, but immunocompromised individuals are more sensitive and will be at a higher risk of developing symptoms and illnesses. In the next slide, you will learn how the COVID-19 pandemic affected air pollution positively. In the next slide, you will learn how the COVID-19 pandemic positively affected air pollution. According to the World Health Organization, improvements in air quality and atmospheric conditions were observed during the pandemic lockdown. The pollutants observed were carbon monoxide, ozone, fine particulate matter, and nitrogen dioxide. In Los Angeles, decreases were found in the primary pollutant, particulate matter, which gives the haziness appearance in the sky and reduces visibility, and nitrogen dioxide, which causes irritations to airways and contributes to respiratory issues. Looking at the picture to the right, it shows the daily air quality index from 1995 to 2020. And what this data really shows is that in March of this year, the Los Angeles area experienced the largest stretch of good air quality since 1995. From this, we can make the connection that air pollutants were improved at a higher rate through strong restriction policies. Generally speaking, the effects of the restrictions imposed and the reduction of the vehicle traffic had a strong influence on reducing the concentration of air pollutants. Since Los Angeles is considered the smog city, this is something for us to think about as we work towards a more sustainable future.
Hello, my name is Ashley Fletcher, and right now I will discuss the potential concerns regarding air pollution. Needless to say that the potential concerns are the currently increasing ones that we are facing now. Los Angeles County Public Health claims that there are 6 categories of air pollutants: particulate pollution, ground level ozone, lead, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, and sulfur oxide. With these pollutants in the air, it has increased harm in people's health and everyday lives. Looking at information from California Air Resource Board, that there are over 200 toxins in our air right now that has caused respiratory issues, cancer, and poor air quality to those who are sensitive, such as people who might have asthma. With the current air pollution issues right now, it will only increase the chances of creating more of these cases in regards of lung issues and cancer. Hot weather plays a massive part in air pollution as well. As the weather begins to reach high temperatures, the air quality in California starts to move those pollutants around through the air and creates extreme air quality conditions for everyone. Due to the lockdown caused by COVID-19, we hope to see a decline in air pollution, considering many of us did not leave the safety of our home. During that time, there was less traffic, and our skies that were so smog-ridden finally became blue and clear. Sadly, now that everything is opening back up and people are going back to work, our skies have become smoggy again. Now the concern is based on one of the issues that COVID-19 also creates respiratory issues. Now, if someone already has respiratory issues combined with COVID, it only increases the chances of them having breathing problems and lung damage. Now to talk about the present issues with air pollution and COVID-19, we will turn it over that way.
COVID-19 is a viral respiratory illness that mainly impacts the lives of those with prior health concerns. Numerous elements factor in regarding contracting the illness, but air pollution specifically has been found to put people at even greater risk for contracting the deadly virus, as it can lead to a compromised immune system. A study was conducted by the Harvard School of Public Health in which 3,080 counties in the United States had their air pollution levels tested and compared to the COVID-19 rates. The results of the study indicated that counties having higher levels of harmful particles in the air had a significant correlation to deaths due to the coronavirus. The deadly fires that are currently occurring all around the United States, especially California, are putting us at greater risk for COVID-19. The reason for this is because the smoke from wildfires creates irritated and inflamed lungs, which weakens the immune system. According to a CNN article by Faith Karimi and Alexandra Meeks, air pollution from wildfires can make people more vulnerable to coronavirus.